One of the more challenging topics for students starting out in chemistry is this concept of scientific notation and what to do with exponents. And everything that we do with large and small numbers is put things into scientific notation, which simply means that we have a number here, 6.59, and we're going to multiply this number times 10 three times. So if we do that, we end up with a number 6.59 times 10 the first time becomes 65.9. We multiply it a second time, we get 659. And the third time, we end up with 6,590. Now, that's just what this value means. It's a simpler way, an easier way, and a shorter way of writing these larger numbers. Now, 6.59 times 10 to the negative third simply means that we're going to divide 6.59 by 3 times. Okay, we're going to divide that by 10 three times. 6.59 divided by 10 becomes 0.659. Divided by 10 one more time, we get 0.0659. And divided by 10 a third time, we get 0.00659. Now that's not so bad when we deal with numbers like this, but when we deal with numbers like 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd, you can see that's just not worth our time and the paperwork and everything to write out that many zeros. So the challenge, first of all, is to be able to transform whole numbers into scientific notation. But then we have to deal with the math behind it when we're talking about addition and subtraction and multiplication and division with those. So let's take a look at a couple of examples with that. And we're going to keep in mind our numbers, our coefficients, need to remain between 1 and 10. So we see that rule here. That needs to remain between 1 and 10. But when the challenge or the exception to that, when we're adding and subtracting exponents, we will have to violate that rule temporarily. We can always fix it later if we have to. So let's take a look. I'm just going to bring up a blank screen. Let's do some simple exponents here. Let's take 4 times 10 to the second, and we're going to add that to 2 times 10 to the first. Okay, it's not a simple addition problem where you just add 4 plus 2. The reason is because these are two different numbers. 4 times 10 to the second really means we take 4 times 10, which is 40, times 10 one more time, that becomes 400. 2 times 10 once means that we end up with an answer of 20. Okay, that's what those numbers really mean, so you can't simply add 4 plus 2. You're going to get a different answer. So what we need to do is we need to decide which of these two numbers we need to switch, which are the coefficients we need to switch. Now to do that, a little visualization. Times 10 to the second, here's my exponents. These are all positive integers. This is not a negative 4 times 10 to the first or anything like that. These are simply exponents, which means we either multiply or divide by 10. So really, if we look, we're going and have to decide, I need to transform this 4 times 10 to the second either into something times 10 to the first, or I have to take my 2 times 10 to the first and transform it into something times 10 to the second. Don't worry, it doesn't matter which one you do. We're going to fix our answers at the end, get it into proper scientific again. So for this, let's actually transform this number, 4 times 10 to the second, into something times 10 to the first. Now here's where we run into some problems. If I'm going from a large exponent to a small, I'm going to move, so I'm going from a high number, high exponent, to a low exponent. I'm going to move my decimal point to the right. So what this means is 4 times 10 to the second, I'm going to move it to my decimal to the right one time. That becomes 40 times 10 to the first. I'm going to leave my 2 times 10 to the first the same. Now my coefficients agree. Both of these are something times 10 to the first. So I'm going to add up. Now that they agree, I'm going to get an answer of 42 times 10 to the first. Okay? Now, my coefficient is greater than 10. I have to get that to agree, so I have to fix this answer at the very end. Chemistry is full of little tiny steps at the end to remember. And I need to move my decimal point from here back over here. 42 times 10 to the first is the same as 4.2 times 10 to the something. Okay, so what I need to do is I need to add one more multiple of 10 in there, and I get my answer, 4.2 times 10 to the second. Okay, now this number, remember, 4.2 times 10 to the second, remember what that means is I'm going to multiply 4.2 times 10 again. I end up with an answer of 420. And if you look over here, you get 420. Okay, so that's a good way to double check. Now, what would happen if, let me go to my original problem. What would happen if I decided I want to move this number instead? Okay, I'm going to something times 10 to the second now. If I'm going high to low, I move my decimal to the right. Now, if I'm going low to a higher number, I'm going to move my decimal to the left. So that becomes 0.2. Here's my decimal here. I'm going to move it over 1. So that means I'm going to take 2 times 10 is 20. Well, now if I take 0.2 times 10 is 2 times 10 again is 20. Okay, so 0.2 times 10 to the second. I have that agree with my 4 times 10 to the second here. So both of these values are something times 10 to the second. Now I can add them up. I end up with an answer of 4.2 times 10 to the second. I still double check, yes, this value is between 1 and 10, so I saved myself a step. If I'm going and adding something low to something high, I probably want to change my lower one. That saves this extra step that we did up above. But don't worry, both of these give you the right answer. One just involves a little bit more work. Okay, now, same thing goes for subtraction. Same rule. If I'm going to be multiplying or dividing, okay, multiplying or dividing is a little bit different concept. I don't have to get my exponents to agree. What I have to do is, let's go 4 times 10 to the second, and I'm going to multiply that by 2 times 10 to the first. Okay? I can go ahead and immediately multiply my coefficients. 4 times 2 is 8. Now I need to deal with my exponents. When I'm multiplying, I simply add these two exponents together. It becomes times 10 to the third. Okay? So it's as simple as that. Just when you're multiplying, you add the exponents. If I'm dividing 4 times 10 to the second, if I'm going to divide by 2 times 10 to the first, this divide means I'm going to subtract my exponent. So it's going to be 2 times 10 to the first. 2 minus 1 is 1. Okay? So it's as simple as that. And honestly, most of chemistry, we do multiply and divide. We don't do much of addition and subtraction in the math that we do. Although certainly if we're going to be adding quantities and things like that, you'll need those skills of addition and subtraction. But mostly what we do is multiplication, division. Always double check your coefficients to make sure that they agree. Make sure that it fits between 1 and 10. So that's, in a nutshell, how you multiply and divide and subtract exponents.